My beloved brothers and sisters, we live in a time where everyone feels the need to announce everything, every success, every opinion, every emotion. People argue to be heard, prove themselves to be accepted, and respond to every word that hurts them. But Islam teaches a calmer path. Not every reaction is strength, and not every silence is weakness. Sometimes silence is protection. When you stop explaining yourself to everyone and start reflecting within, your heart begins to settle. You realize that peace is not found in winning arguments, but in strengthening your relationship with Allah. The one who trusts Allah does not need to fight every battle. You are not required to answer every accusation or correct every misunderstanding. Allah knows your intentions even when people misjudge you. When you choose patience over reaction and reflection over impulse, you are not losing, you are growing in a way only Allah fully sees. Not every response improves your situation. Sometimes you feel a strong urge to reply immediately when someone says something hurtful. Your heart races and your mind prepares the perfect response. You want to defend yourself and make them understand your side. But pause for a moment. Not every response brings benefit. Many times a reaction only fuels the situation and turns a small issue into a large conflict. Islam teaches wisdom before reaction. The believer asks, will my words bring peace or increase harm? If your answer is anger, silence may be the better path. Allah hears what was said even if you do not answer. He knows your intention and your sincerity. You do not need to prove yourself to everyone. Protecting your heart from unnecessary tension is part of protecting your faith. When you hold back for Allah's sake, your calmness becomes strength rather than weakness. In many arguments, people are not seeking truth, they are seeking victory. If you respond emotionally, you enter a battle of egos rather than a search for understanding. Words spoken in anger rarely solve problems. Instead, they leave regret and distance between hearts. A believer chooses words carefully because every statement is accountable before Allah. Silence prevents you from saying something you cannot take back. Later, you often feel grateful you did not reply immediately. Your restraint saves relationships and preserves dignity. Allah loves the servant who controls their tongue during provocation. That control is not easy, but it brings peace afterward. Sometimes people misunderstand you and you want to correct every detail. You feel your reputation depends on their opinion, yet not every misunderstanding needs your explanation. People often believe what they want, regardless of your effort. Over-explaining drains your energy and keeps you anxious. Your worth is not defined by public approval. Allah already knows your truth completely. Leave some matters to Him. When you trust Allah with your image, your mind relaxes. You stop chasing acceptance and focus on improving yourself. This shift brings inner stability. There are moments when silence is a shield. When a conversation becomes heated, continuing to respond may worsen the situation. Stepping back prevents escalation. You give yourself and the other person time to calm down. Later, discussion can happen with clarity instead of anger. Immediate reactions often create permanent damage. A short silence protects long-term relationships. Wisdom is knowing the right time to speak and the right time to wait. Allah rewards patience during emotional moments. You gain peace by avoiding unnecessary confrontation. Your ego often wants the last word. It feels uncomfortable to let someone think they are right when they are not. But your goal is not to win every argument. Your goal is to maintain good character. The Prophet taught that leaving an argument even when correct brings great reward. Letting go of the final word does not reduce your dignity, it increases your self-control. You prove strength by mastering yourself, not others. Allah sees the restraint you practice privately. Many conflicts continue because both sides keep responding. One message leads to another and emotions intensify. If one person chooses calmness, the cycle breaks. Your silence may end what words would extend. Over time, people respect your composure more than loud defense. Calmness carries weight. It shows confidence and maturity. You are not ignoring truth. You are choosing a wiser moment to address it. Allah places barakah in measured reactions. You may fear that silence means people will assume you accept wrong behavior, but silence can be temporary, not permanent. You can address matters later with calmness. Immediate reaction is rarely effective because emotions dominate. Waiting allows your thoughts to organize. You speak with wisdom instead of frustration. Your message becomes clearer and kinder. This approach often resolves issues more successfully. Allah loves gentleness, and gentleness enters every matter with goodness. Social media increases the temptation to respond quickly. Comments, criticism, and opinions appear constantly. Responding to each one steals your peace. Not every message deserves your attention. Protect your mind from endless debate. Choose what truly matters and ignore the rest. Your time and energy are valuable. Spending them wisely is part of gratitude to Allah. Focus on beneficial actions instead of endless defense. Holding your tongue also protects your heart from regret. Words cannot be erased once spoken. Many people wish they remained silent during emotional moments. Silence gives you time to reflect and pray before speaking. Reflection brings clarity. You avoid harming others and harming yourself. Allah rewards those who prevent harm through patience. This reward is both spiritual and emotional. When you choose not to respond, you also protect your mental health. Constant arguments exhaust your mind and disturb your sleep. Your thoughts repeat conversations and increase stress. By stepping away, you regain calmness. You focus on worship, responsibilities, and growth. Peace returns because you removed unnecessary noise from your life. Your heart feels lighter. There are times to speak and times to remain quiet. Islam does not command permanent silence, but wise silence. Speak when your words bring benefit, guidance, or justice. Remain quiet when speech brings harm or arrogance. Balance is the goal. Through practice, you recognize the difference. Allah grants insight to those who seek wisdom. Your speech becomes thoughtful and your silence meaningful. Always remember, not every response improves your situation. Many times silence brings the best outcome. Trust Allah to handle what you cannot control. Your calm reaction reflects strong faith. When you hold your tongue for His sake, He grants you dignity and tranquility. Over time, you realize that peace is more valuable than winning arguments, and the one who protects their words protects their heart. Silence protects the heart from unnecessary conflict. There are many moments in life when a conversation begins small but slowly turns into tension. A simple disagreement becomes emotional, voices rise and hearts harden. In such moments, the believer remembers that not every discussion must continue. Silence can be mercy. When you pause instead of reacting, you protect your heart from carrying anger for hours or even days. Arguments often leave wounds long after the words end. By choosing quietness, you prevent resentment from settling inside you. Allah loves a heart that remains soft and controlled. Silence is not weakness. It is self-control guided by faith. You step away not because you have nothing to say, but because you have something to protect your inner peace and your relationship with Allah. Many conflicts are fueled by quick reactions. A person says something hurtful and you feel an immediate need to reply. Your ego urges you to defend yourself strongly. But if you respond while emotions are high, your words may exceed your intention. Later you regret speaking harshly. Silence gives you a moment to breathe and regain balance. You allow emotions to cool and wisdom to return. This pause prevents unnecessary damage. When you choose patience over reaction, you are guarding your heart from guilt and preserving relationships from escalation. Allah rewards those who restrain anger and forgive people, and silence is often the first step toward that forgiveness. The heart becomes heavy when it carries constant arguments. Replaying conversations in your mind keeps you restless and distracted. You think about what you said and what they said, and your peace disappears. Silence stops this cycle early. Instead of feeding conflict, you close the door gently. You protect your thoughts from endless repetition. Your sleep improves because your mind is calm. Islam values tranquility, and avoiding unnecessary conflict is part of maintaining it. By stepping back, you free your heart to remember Allah rather than replay arguments. Sometimes you want to correct every misunderstanding. You feel people must know your true intention, yet not every person seeks understanding. Some conversations continue only to prolong disagreement. Silence shows wisdom in choosing which matters deserve attention. You do not ignore truth, but you avoid useless disputes. Allah knows your intention even if people misunderstand. Trusting His knowledge brings comfort. You focus on improving yourself rather than convincing everyone else. This protects your emotional energy. Silence also prevents words spoken in anger that cannot be undone. A single sentence can damage a relationship for years. When you remain quiet during provocation, you protect future regret. You may feel momentary discomfort, but you avoid long-term pain. Later, you can address the matter calmly if necessary. Your words then carry kindness and clarity instead of emotion. This approach preserves dignity for both sides. Unnecessary conflict often begins from small issues. Pride makes each person insist on being right. Silence reduces pride. It reminds you that not every matter is worth emotional investment. By stepping away, you choose peace over victory. The believer values harmony more than ego. Allah raises the rank of those who leave arguments for His sake. This reward is not only in the hereafter, but also in the calmness you feel now. Your heart also stays cleaner when you avoid constant disputes. Arguments can lead to harsh thoughts and resentment. Silence protects you from developing hatred. You forgive more easily because you did not intensify the conflict. Forgiveness purifies the heart and strengthens faith. A calm heart remembers Allah more frequently. By preventing conflict, you make space for spiritual growth. Silence teaches patience. You learn to endure discomfort without reacting impulsively. Each time you hold your tongue, your self-control increases. This discipline affects other areas of life as well. You become calmer in stressful situations and wiser in decision making. Allah strengthens those who practice restraint. What begins as effort becomes natural behavior over time. Some people will interpret your silence as weakness. They may expect a reaction and feel surprised when it does not come. Yet your intention is not to impress them, but to please Allah. You are accountable to Him, not to public opinion. Over time, people often respect quiet strength more than loud defense. Your character speaks louder than your words. Silence also protects your mental health. Constant conflict drains energy and increases anxiety. When you limit engagement in unnecessary disputes, your mind rests. You focus on beneficial activities, worship, and personal growth. Your thoughts become clearer because you removed noise. Peace grows because you guarded your heart carefully. There are appropriate times to speak, especially when justice or guidance requires it. But wisdom lies in distinguishing necessary speech from harmful argument. Not every criticism requires response, and not every disagreement requires resolution. Silence is a thoughtful choice, not avoidance. It is choosing the right moment rather than reacting immediately. Always remember, silence protects the heart from unnecessary conflict. By holding your tongue, you preserve your peace and strengthen your faith. You trust Allah to handle what words cannot fix. In doing so, your heart becomes lighter, your mind calmer, and your life more balanced. And you experience the tranquility that comes from choosing patience over confrontation. Deep reflection brings you closer to Allah. Many people fill every moment with noise, so they never sit alone with their thoughts. Yet the heart needs stillness to understand itself. Deep reflection begins when you step away from distraction and allow your mind to settle. In quiet moments, you start noticing your intentions, your worries, and your relationship with Allah. You realize how quickly days pass and how temporary life truly is. This awareness softens the heart. Instead of living automatically, you begin living consciously. Reflection turns ordinary moments into reminders. A sunset, a breath, or a moment of silence reminds you of your Creator. When you reflect sincerely, your heart naturally turns toward Allah, and that turning brings comfort and meaning. Reflection helps you recognize your blessings. Many favors of Allah become invisible because they are constant. Health, safety, family, and guidance feel ordinary until you pause and think deeply. When you reflect, gratitude increases. Gratitude strengthens faith because you see Allah's care in daily life. A grateful heart feels content, complaints decrease, and patience grows. You start thanking Allah for small things, and this transforms your mood. Reflection therefore becomes a source of emotional healing. You realize how much mercy surrounds you and hope replaces sadness. Deep reflection also exposes your weaknesses gently. You notice habits that distance you from Allah and thoughts that disturb your peace. Instead of denying them, you acknowledge them honestly. This honesty leads to sincere repentance. Tawbah becomes easier when you understand yourself. You stop making excuses and start making effort. Allah loves a servant who returns with awareness. Reflection helps you recognize patterns and avoid repeating mistakes. Growth begins when you see clearly. By thinking deeply, you move closer to Allah because you approach Him with humility. In quiet reflection, your dua changes. Instead of general requests, you speak specifically about your fears and hopes. You feel you are truly conversing with Allah rather than repeating words. This sincerity strengthens your connection. You trust Him more because you open your heart fully. Reflection allows your soul to communicate honestly. Your prayers become meaningful rather than routine. This emotional closeness is a gift from Allah. The more you reflect, the more personal your faith feels. Reflection helps you understand the purpose of hardship. When difficulties occur, you often feel confused or upset. But when you think deeply, you begin to see lessons inside the pain. Challenges teach patience, resilience, and reliance on Allah. You realize some events brought you closer to worship and improved your character. This understanding reduces resentment. You stop asking only why and start asking, what can I learn? With this mindset, trials become opportunities for growth rather than sources of despair. When you reflect on the Quran, its message becomes alive. You read slowly and think about how each verse applies to your life. The Quran stops being distant text and becomes guidance for your daily decisions. You find answers to worries and reassurance during fear. Allah speaks to hearts that listen attentively. Reflection transforms recitation into understanding. Your faith strengthens because you feel guided personally. This connection increases tranquility. Deep thinking also improves relationships. You consider your words before speaking and your actions before reacting. You become more patient with others because you understand human weakness. Reflection reduces impulsive behavior. Instead of reacting emotionally, you respond thoughtfully. This wisdom prevents many conflicts. Your character becomes gentler and more balanced. Allah rewards thoughtful behavior because it reflects sincerity and awareness. Reflection increases humility. You realize your limitations and recognize how much you need Allah's help. Pride fades when you see your dependence. You stop believing you control everything. Humility brings peace because you no longer carry unrealistic expectations. You accept your efforts and trust Allah's outcome. This surrender comforts the heart and removes pressure. Nighttime is especially powerful for reflection. When the world sleeps, your thoughts become clear. A few quiet minutes of remembrance and dua feel deeply peaceful. In those moments, you sense closeness to Allah. Your worries seem smaller and your hope stronger. Night reflection purifies emotions and strengthens faith. Many hearts heal during sincere late-night prayer. Reflection also helps you prioritize your life. You recognize what truly matters and what wastes your time. You invest energy in beneficial actions and reduce distractions. This balance improves productivity and spiritual growth. Your days feel purposeful instead of rushed. Living intentionally brings satisfaction. Allah guides the one who seeks meaning sincerely. Through reflection, you become more aware of death and the hereafter. This awareness does not create fear but direction. You make choices carefully because you remember accountability. You seek forgiveness regularly and increase good deeds. Preparation for the hereafter brings stability to worldly life. Your focus becomes balanced between temporary life and eternal life. Deep reflection protects your heart from jealousy. When you understand Allah's wisdom, you stop comparing yourself constantly. You trust that everyone receives what is best for them. Contentment grows. You feel peace when others succeed because you rely on Allah's plan. This emotional freedom lightens your heart. Reflection encourages self-improvement. You evaluate your character and work on patience, honesty, and kindness. Each day you try to improve slightly. Allah loves gradual progress. With reflection, your efforts become consistent. Over time, you notice meaningful change in behavior and attitude. Your faith becomes visible in your actions. Sometimes reflection reveals past mistakes that still hurt you. Instead of guilt, you use them as lessons. You ask Allah for forgiveness and move forward. Reflection turns regret into wisdom. You become stronger and more compassionate. Allah transforms your experiences into guidance for your future. Always remember, deep reflection brings you closer to Allah because it awakens the heart. A heart that thinks sincerely remembers its Creator. In quiet moments, you find clarity, humility, and hope. The peace you gain from reflection cannot be replaced by distraction. By taking time to think deeply and remember Allah, your life gains direction, your worries decrease, and your heart rests in the comfort of His presence. Patience is stronger than proving yourself. There are times when you feel an intense need to explain yourself. Someone misunderstands your intentions, questions your character, or judges you unfairly, and your heart urges you to respond immediately. You want to correct every word and clear every doubt. But remember, constantly proving yourself to people can exhaust your soul. Patience is stronger than endless explanation. When you hold back for the sake of Allah, you are not surrendering your dignity, you are protecting it. Allah knows your sincerity even if others do not. Your peace is more valuable than temporary validation. By choosing patience, you place your trust in the one who understands you completely. Over time, truth reveals itself naturally. People eventually see what consistent character demonstrates. What you preserve through patience becomes stronger than what you defend through argument. Often we believe that silence will make others think we are weak. The ego fears being misjudged, yet true strength lies in self-control. Responding impulsively may satisfy your emotions briefly but leaves your heart unsettled. Patience gives you stability. You avoid regretful words and emotional damage. Allah rewards restraint because it requires effort and humility. You step away from reaction and toward reflection. Your calmness becomes a sign of confidence, not insecurity. You do not need every person's approval when your intention is clear to Allah. Many conflicts escalate because each side wants to prove they are right. Arguments continue not to reach understanding but to protect pride. When you step back, the conflict often fades. Your patience removes fuel from the fire. You choose peace over victory. The believer seeks Allah's pleasure rather than winning debates. This choice brings relief because you no longer carry emotional tension. Your heart remains soft instead of hardened by anger. People's opinions change frequently. Today they misunderstand you, tomorrow they may appreciate you. If your happiness depends on proving yourself to them, your peace will always be unstable. Patience frees you from that cycle. You focus on your actions instead of their reactions. Consistent good behavior becomes your response. Over time, character speaks louder than words. Allah allows your sincerity to become visible when the moment is right. Sometimes patience also protects relationships. Words spoken during emotional moments can damage trust permanently. By remaining calm, you preserve connection. Later, when emotions settle, conversation can happen respectfully. Your patience prevents long-term harm. You save yourself and others from regret. This is wisdom guided by faith. Allah loves those who repair rather than destroy. The Prophet taught that the strong person is the one who controls anger. This control requires patience. When provoked, your heart races and your mind fills with responses. Holding back in that moment is a victory over your ego. You prove strength to yourself rather than to others. Each time you succeed, your self-discipline increases. You become calmer in future situations. Allah grants tranquility to those who practice restraint. Patience also brings clarity. When you react immediately, you see only emotion. When you wait, you see perspective. You realize some matters are minor and not worth stress. You respond thoughtfully rather than impulsively. This clarity protects you from unnecessary worries. Your decisions improve because you are guided by reflection instead of impulse. There will be times when people accuse you wrongly. You may never receive an apology. Accepting this reality is difficult, but Allah's justice is perfect even when human justice fails. By remaining patient, you entrust your case to Him. He defends you in ways unseen. Your reputation is safer with Allah than with argument. Trusting Him brings comfort even before situations change. Patience does not mean allowing injustice indefinitely. It means choosing the right time and manner to respond. You can address issues calmly without emotional reaction. This balanced approach is effective. You speak with wisdom and respect. Your message is heard more clearly because it is not clouded by anger. Allah guides your words when your heart is steady. Patience also protects your mental health. Constantly defending yourself drains your energy. Letting go of unnecessary defense gives your mind rest. You focus on growth, worship, and positive actions. And your thoughts become peaceful because you stopped carrying every opinion. This relief is a blessing of trusting Allah. As time passes, you notice that many issues resolve themselves. People observe your consistent behavior and adjust their understanding. You did not force recognition, you allowed it naturally. This teaches you that patience produces lasting results. Quick reactions may produce temporary satisfaction, but patience produces enduring respect. Always remember, patience is stronger than proving yourself. Your worth is secure with Allah, not with public approval. By choosing restraint, you protect your heart and preserve your dignity. Trust Allah to reveal truth in the right time. The calmness you gain is greater than any victory in argument, and the peace Allah places in your heart will reassure you that patience was the wiser path. Allah defends those who trust Him. There are moments when you feel misunderstood and your first instinct is to defend yourself immediately. You want to clarify every detail and correct every false statement because you fear your reputation is being damaged. Yet the believer remembers that honor ultimately comes from Allah. When you place your trust in Him sincerely, you are not left unprotected. Allah hears every word spoken about you and knows the intention behind every action you made. You may not see how the situation will resolve, but His justice never fails. Sometimes the best defense is patience combined with reliance on Him. By stepping back and making dua instead of arguing endlessly, you show trust in divine wisdom. Your calmness becomes a sign of faith. In ways you cannot predict, Allah turns hearts, reveals truth, and restores balance. What you leave in His care is safer than what you try to control alone. Often we believe we must respond to every criticism. We worry that silence will make people think accusations are true. But constant self-defense can exhaust your heart and increase conflict. Trusting Allah means you do your part with honesty and leave the rest to Him. You continue your good character, speak truthfully when necessary, and avoid heated disputes. Over time, Consistent behavior becomes your testimony. People begin to notice sincerity through actions rather than arguments. Allah allows reality to become clear without you forcing it. This brings peace because you no longer chase every opinion. There will be times when others speak unfairly about you. You may never hear them admit their mistake. This hurts deeply, yet Allah's knowledge is complete. When you trust Him, you accept that human justice is limited, but divine justice is perfect. He can clear your name through unexpected events or soften hearts without your effort. You learn that vindication does not always come from confrontation. Sometimes it comes quietly through truth becoming visible. Patience combined with trust allows you to remain dignified while Allah manages what you cannot. Trusting Allah does not mean ignoring responsibility. If clarification is needed, you speak calmly and respectfully, but you avoid emotional battles that only increase tension. Your reliance is not passivity, it is balance. You act wisely and leave outcomes to Allah. This removes anxiety because you stop carrying burdens beyond your control. You focus on your intentions and behavior instead of others' reactions. Peace enters your heart because you know Allah handles the unseen. There are situations where defending yourself strongly would escalate harm. Harsh words invite harsher responses. By choosing restraint, you prevent conflict from growing. You may feel momentary discomfort, but you avoid lasting damage. Allah rewards those who avoid unnecessary disputes. Later, you may see how the situation calmed naturally. Your patience prevented bigger problems. Trusting Allah often means trusting timing as well. Sometimes Allah defends you by revealing truth gradually. A person who misunderstood you begins to notice your consistency. Observing your behavior changes their perception. You did not argue, you remained steady. This steady character becomes proof stronger than explanation. Hearts often change through observation rather than persuasion. Allah guides people to recognize sincerity at the right moment. There are also unseen ways Allah protects you. He may remove harmful people from your life or prevent opportunities that would have caused regret. You may feel disappointed initially, but later you understand the wisdom. Trust means believing that His protection can come through prevention. Not every closed door is loss. Sometimes it is safeguarding your future. Faith grows when you recognize this. Trusting Allah also strengthens your inner stability. You stop worrying constantly about others' opinions. Your focus shifts toward pleasing Him rather than pleasing everyone. This reduces anxiety and overthinking. You feel secure because your reputation rests with Allah. Even if some people misunderstand you, your heart remains calm. This calmness is a gift of reliance. When you face hardship, you turn to dua instead of anger. You ask Allah to guide you and handle what you cannot. Dua becomes your refuge. Speaking to Him relieves emotional weight. You feel supported and heard. This connection reassures you that you are not alone. Trust becomes practical rather than theoretical. Over time, you notice how many situations resolved without your intervention. What once worried you deeply now seems small. Allah managed matters better than your plans would have. This realization increases your reliance. You begin trusting Him in future challenges more easily. Experience strengthens faith. Sometimes the defense Allah provides is internal peace. Even if external circumstances remain unchanged, your heart becomes steady. You accept outcomes without bitterness. This emotional stability is protection from despair. Allah guards your mental and spiritual well-being through trust. Peace itself becomes evidence of His care. Always remember, Allah defends those who trust Him sincerely. Your responsibility is honesty, patience, and good character. Leave what you cannot control to Him. He knows the truth fully and acts with perfect wisdom. When you rely on Him, you gain dignity and tranquility, and your heart rests knowing that divine justice never fails. Real success is peace, not attention. In today's world, many people measure success by how many notice them. They feel valued when praised and forgotten when ignored. Social attention becomes the scale by which they judge their life. Yet attention is unstable. Today people celebrate you and tomorrow they move on. If your happiness depends on recognition, your heart will never rest. Islam teaches that real success is not public approval but inner peace. Peace comes when your heart is content with Allah's decree and your actions seek His pleasure. A quiet believer with a calm heart may be more successful than a famous person filled with anxiety. When you focus on pleasing Allah rather than impressing people, your soul relaxes. You are no longer performing for the world. You are living sincerely, and sincerity brings tranquility. Attention often creates pressure. You begin worrying about maintaining an image instead of maintaining sincerity. Every action becomes a performance. You speak to be admired rather than to benefit. This slowly exhausts your heart because you are constantly thinking about others' reactions. Peace disappears when your identity depends on people's opinions. Allah created you to worship Him, not to satisfy public expectation. When you shift your intention, your actions become lighter. You do good quietly and feel content even if nobody praises you. The absence of attention no longer hurts you because your reward is with Allah. Many people chase recognition thinking it will bring happiness. They imagine that once they are admired, they will feel fulfilled. Yet after receiving attention, they still feel empty. Praise is temporary and cannot fill a spiritual need. The heart was designed to connect with Allah. When you remember Him regularly, a different satisfaction appears. You feel calm without external validation. Worship provides comfort that applause never gives. You realize your value does not increase with popularity. It remains steady through faith. Sometimes you compare your life to others and feel behind. You see their achievements and wonder why you are unnoticed. But you are comparing public moments to private reality. Every person has struggles unseen by others. Allah measures success differently. He looks at your patience, your honesty, and your sincerity. A person quietly caring for family or praying consistently may be more successful than someone widely admired. Understanding this changes your perspective. You begin focusing on improving your character rather than your image. Attention can also lead to pride. When people praise you repeatedly, you may start relying on their admiration. Pride distances the heart from humility. Peace requires humility because it allows you to accept imperfections. You recognize your need for Allah and remain grateful. Gratitude protects the heart from arrogance. When you attribute blessings to Allah instead of yourself, you feel secure. Your worth becomes stable because it is tied to faith, not popularity. There is beauty in quiet good deeds. Helping someone without announcement purifies intention. Giving charity secretly brings a unique comfort. You do not expect thanks because Allah is your witness. These acts nourish the soul deeply. The calmness you feel afterward proves that sincerity carries sweetness. Public recognition cannot replicate this feeling. You learn that unseen goodness is often the most rewarding. When you stop chasing attention, your relationships improve. You listen more and speak more gently. You are not trying to impress others but to connect sincerely. People feel safe around authenticity. Your presence becomes comforting rather than competitive. This harmony brings emotional peace. You realize meaningful connection matters more than admiration. Peace also protects mental health. Constantly seeking approval creates anxiety and overthinking. You worry about how others perceive you. When you release that need, your mind rests. You focus on responsibilities and worship instead of opinions. Your thoughts become clearer. Contentment replaces comparison. This calmness is a blessing many overlook. Allah sometimes keeps a person unnoticed to protect their sincerity. Being unseen can be mercy. Without attention, your intention remains pure. You act for Allah alone. This